Hello, my name's Peter Gore. I'm going to talk to you about how do you age better. And I'm going to do that within a very specific framework so that there's no misunderstanding about what we need. In this particular video, we're going to talk about the role of care in healthy aging. So just a reminder, I tend to do this at the start of the videos, will do for a while, just to make sure everybody understands the framework that we're using and what we mean by healthy aging. So we have a specific definition here. We use something called the life curve, and there are 4 pre-markers. They're general loss of fitness and strength, but then there are 15 really important markers. These are things that we do every day or every few days, and that we need to be able to do in order to live independently. The first one is that you can't reach toenails to cut them. And the last one on this list of 15 on the left-hand side is that you can't feed yourself. And obviously, if you can't do these 15 things, at least I think it's obvious, you can't live independently. So you'll either be receiving care from friends, family, perhaps professional caregivers, a combination of them, or you'll need to live in an institution where you can get that level of care because you can't safely live independently without being able to do these things. And what we're really wanting to do is age better, and so we need to define what we mean by that. First point is, really important point, this is not about a specific chronological age. It's about a position, not an age. So again, to remind you, the earliest we can find in England is 2% of men, 3% of women who can't cut their toenails at the age of 42. That's very early. The average age, median age, is 79, but I can find you a group of women in California who can still do that at 100. So chronological age is the one thing that's not very useful in terms of deciding where people are and what help they might need. There's no point in asking somebody their age because that's just not going to tell you what you need to know. Let's put this person on here, we'll call him Bert, split him into upper Bert and lower Bert, and he'll have 2 different journeys. And upper Bert has managed to maintain his position at full wash for a period of time, and lower Bert over that period of time has lost those abilities and is now getting full-time care, or is more likely in an institution, residential care, nursing home, depending on his health needs. This is not just men, of course, the same applies to women. They happen in slightly different times. Women tend to live longer but get disability sooner, and so on. So there are differences between people, but the principles remain the same. And what we've got here is not really a significant, if any, difference in life expectancy. We've got good evidence that it doesn't really change how long you live. It does something called improve your health span. So not lifespan, but health span. So essentially it's more better years. And that's what most people want. In fact, I've never met anybody who didn't want more better years rather than simply more years. Not time shifting problems, but reducing the time that we experience those problems. And that's what we're doing here. So you can see that upper Bert will decline much more rapidly from here because he's had his good years, whereas lower Bert has continued to decline and therefore had lower capabilities for much longer. So let's just remind you again of the approach. So build reserve, get it back if you've lost the ability, use equipment or techniques to maintain your ability. But if you can't or don't want to do any of those things, then ultimately you'll have to get other people to help you do some of the things that you need to do, and particularly these 15 things. And if you can't walk 400 yards, you almost certainly can't shop either. You can shop online, so that's the good news these days. But there'll be lots of things. You certainly can't get a bath online that I know of, or a shower either. So there are lots of things that we would need help with in our home, or if we're in an institution, in the institution. And that's called care. And so let's talk about that. And we might need care for a variety of reasons that aren't necessarily functional over significant time period. That depends on individuals and on their responses to things. This is not about making a judgment about the choices you make. It's about telling you the consequences of the choices that you make. And that means that we need care. So if you've got questions about what I say, by all means, put those in the comments so that we know that we've got to reply. I don't want you to mishear me. Care is a very, very important role. Family care and professional caregivers are vital to the well-being of so many older people. However, there is a risk with care in that when we do something for someone, if they could otherwise do it themselves, then we're potentially reducing their capability, because while we still do things, we remain able to do them. If somebody's doing them for us all the time, then we're less likely to be able to do them for ourselves. So that's just, and in fact, we have lots of examples where packages of care are put in, and instead of helping people get the ability back, they just end up losing that ability and then bumping along the bottom for an extended period. So that's what we're trying to avoid. So just to remind you again, because I've talked for a bit, care, this is the last thing on our list. It's not unimportant, it's just the last thing we do in terms of the healthy aging context, except for other particular areas that have specialist needs and so on. And I'm just talking about age-related decline. Again, remember, we can make these choices potentially at every stage. So care is very important. This person could use equipment and techniques potentially to put socks on or stockings or whatever. There is equipment to help with that, but maybe she's not able to, maybe she doesn't have the upper body strength or whatever. This is just an example of care. There are lots and lots of other things that people do. Essentially, they help people with all those 15 things and a whole bunch of other things. And they're hugely undervalued by so many people, I think. They're a really important part, but we're asking people to do things that we could probably do for ourselves, which might take some of the pressure off them, allow them to spend more time doing some of the things that we prefer them to do, but also creating more capacity in the system so it's easier to get people out of hospital and so on. So care is a really good thing. Premature care, not so good and potentially avoidable. So let me know if you want to ask any questions. I might have sparked an interesting debate there. Love to hear your comments if you have any. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next video. Thank you.